What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Big slate. Obviously, still licking my wounds after thinking I was going to win the alley-oop last night and then not quite winning it. But you know what? Got the overtime I asked for. Almost got the double one, which would have made me the winner very easily in every tournament. But so what? We're here to go. Got a lot of personal stuff going on, so I want to announce to you guys that I'm going to be out tomorrow. We've got a monster slate tonight, so we're going to go through it. There's only a few games tomorrow, but I've got some personal stuff I've got to attend to. So I'm sorry to miss you guys then. But this is a slate. This is a very good GPP slate. Sheets, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I just updated my projections. Where did this Dennis Smith Jr. stuff come from?
No Terry Rozier, and they only have 10 guys, and he's starting.
Okay. That answers that question.
I gave them a brief update. I'm going to be out for everything tomorrow. I've got some family stuff I've got to take care of with this stuff. I put it in our admin thing, so I'm not even going to make our calls tomorrow. So I'm rescheduling for Monday.
Okay.
Sorry about that, man. I'll tell you about it sometime off air because it was a rough day. But back to this. We've got a hell of a slate in front of us, and there are so many plays that I think you can make on this slate. The problem is, it's crazy because I really like all of the chalk. I just think that you can find a ton of pivots, and that's sort of the name of the game now. But you're going to have a ton of chalk for a slate of this size. And I just don't know. I'm just not used to seeing this kind of what I think. Dennis Smith Jr., if he ends up like 70% owned, that's very possible. I think LaMelo may end up like 50+% owned. And we have Kyrie now questionable. Kyrie first downgraded to probable to start the day, and then downgraded to questionable in the afternoon. And if you believe in taking shots, you should absolutely, which I just did, you should absolutely build a Luka and Jokic lineup. That's my personal take. I think both of those, especially because Jamal Murray may still sit too. I'm in on that. I'm in on trying to take that shot. I also have some Luka and Embiid lineups just to get really weird with it. But if Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon sit again and Kyrie sits, don't forget, they're the only other guy. Actually, Christian Wood would become strongly in play to me if Kyrie was out. But the only other guy they have offensively is Christian Wood. Josh Green I like a lot as a real basketball player, and I think he'd actually be in play as well. But I don't know. That's a pretty big piece of news that we probably won't get anytime soon. But what do you think about that? If you're just speculating, because it's not we know Luka's look, he's obviously hurt by what's his name by Kyrie. But there are paths for you to still get it right. He could still put up 65 and you might still be good with Kyrie there if Kyrie plays. If Kyrie doesn't play, I think you're looking at a guaranteed 65 plus unless they get blown out, right?
Yeah.
So he'd be the best play on the slate.
So he's a guaranteed 65 without Kyrie is what you're saying?
I'm saying pretty much a guarantee if the game's close.
Well, we have had Kyrie the whole season. He was never really guaranteed 65.
He averages more than 65.
Oh, okay.
His average, his last games without Kyrie, the problem is he had the 1 3-minute game where he got hurt. So that maybe that downed his average a little bit. But he had been.
So Kyrie was upgraded to probable and then back to questionable, you're saying?
Yeah. And I'm also making a case that there's no Tim Hardaway Jr. also. And there's no even though the other guys are low usage, the guys they had, they're still guys who played a ton of minutes and who had more usage than the guys who are going to back them up. You have Reggie Bullock, Dwight Powell, Josh Green, and Luka, and maybe Christian Wood, or maybe one of these other borderline plays if there's no Kyrie. I think Luka puts up 70 more often than he puts up 60. I think he puts up 80 more often than he puts up 80 more often than he puts up 50.
Could be.
So I like that. Thanks, Forrest. I appreciate you, man. It was a close call. I really thought I had it too, but it was a nice to have a good run because it had been a while, and it felt good from the beginning because I knew like I did the chalkiest thing, but it was if you can play the chalk in basketball and somehow get off of a chalky build, I think it works out really well, especially on those small slates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Rhodey's talking about Shea versus Houston. That's the perfect, obvious ball pivot. Like that's the immediate ball pivot. But isn't the better pivot getting up to Luka and speculating? It's that my question to you and myself, to everyone out there and myself. I don't know what the answer is. I think that Luka is the right answer more often than not. And while I really like Shea, I really like him in this matchup. If I play him, I probably want to try to play him in the same lineup I'm playing ball because people are going to take the weird shape, fade ball play. I think the idea for me would be just to play them both together if I was going to do it. But I also just want to point out, like, when Shea gets there, so often of the time he's like 5Xing at this price, It's not like he's putting up 70s left and right. I mean, when's the last time he put up a 70 and he's 10-5? He put up a 70 in December.
Right.
And that's so I just want to but with Luka, you might get 90. You know what I mean? Like, so I would rather try to spend the extra 1,000, I think, if I was gonna fade LaMelo. Or I would my other strategy thing is to build a game stack.
Yeah. I'm gonna start with let's start with Dennis Smith Jr. Okay. So you think that do you think that he's, I don't want to say unfadable, but I do have him rated like significantly higher than any other value.
Yeah.
Now we don't care, obviously, because of the price. We don't care playing him alongside of
exactly. Yes.
Of
because
LaMelo, correct?
Yes. If it was FanDuel where he's 4,900, I think you definitely can play them both because the price again still with LaMelo is too cheap at 9,900. But I think that to me, what I did on FanDuel was I played DSJ in the lineups where I wasn't going to play Shea. I'm sorry, where I wasn't going to play LaMelo.
Okay.
But I don't think you have to worry about that. And I think like obviously Gordon Hayward is a much better play, and that's really weird because Gordon Hayward is the guy who I'm constantly beating the drum of. Like you don't in general want to play this guy. And he's been insanely efficient his last, he made 75% of his shots the last game. He made 4 out of 5 threes. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but like the usage has to go somewhere. This is a nut matchup. It's a slate where I would love to wait because we have Jamal Murray news. We have Kyrie Irving news. We have CJ McCollum news. We have a lot of news later in the day, but it's really hard for me to get out of stacking this Charlotte-San Antonio game.
What is the status of the Indiana bigs?
Turner is in, so pretty irrelevant.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. Turner is in, which makes Turner a really good GPP play.
Turner is in, which makes a really good GPP play. Okay, fair enough.
And Vucevic, I mean, I like the obvious build is one of the Bulls, Levine or Vooch, with probably Caruso, Devontae, because you have plenty of money to spend. If you play Caruso, what's his name, Dennis Smith Jr., or you could throw in Devontae Graham. You just have all the money in the world to spend. What I'm doing tonight is I'm playing more Branham than I am Devontae Graham on both sites, and sort of hoping it works out for me. There's a $600 price difference. Branham's minutes are more secure. Graham is more scoring reliant, but his usage has been very good with the Spurs. I just think I would rather take a shot on Branham when they're this close in price and just crazy lower ownership.
Where do you still like Brandon Ingram?
Yes. But it's also, we don't know about McCollum. Part of the reason I love Ingram so much, I love him anyway, first of all. Going back to LA, he's had great games here all the time. But if you get McCollum out, oh boy, he becomes one of the best players. The problem is,
I found this on the web first. He becomes one of the best places to.
I've literally never used Siri once in my life, and it just pops up every now and then.
That's really funny.
But Josh Richardson and Jose Alvarado would become strongly in play if McCollum's out. We're just not going to know. It's my guess. Answering Forrest's question, playing Bulls value or Vooch. Yeah, I have a mix. I've got some Kobe. I do like Kobe White, like on DraftKings. I think if I had to like just pick one of them and try to have a guy who could help me win a tournament, Kobe White feels like the right guy. Caruso is going to be so popular. He's the obvious chalk cashy guy. And then Desone Mu is more of the play on FanDuel because of his skill set. But all three of those guys are very interesting, including Patrick Williams, more so on FanDuel for Patrick Williams because he fits nicely. And then I have Levine ahead of Vooch on both sites just by a hair. And I also will be mixing in some Andre Drummond. I'm going to take that really weird gamble and play a little bit of Drummond. Josh Richardson value, TJ, depends a lot on whether or not McCollum plays. Don't forget, McCollum did not play the other night, which is why he got all the run that he did. He will still get run with McCollum, but I can't promise you that he's going to play. What did he play the other night in his first? Played 34 minutes, and he was in there for every big possession. He has 5 steals and 2 blocks. I can't promise that Josh Richardson is worthy of that play with McCollum, and Josh Richardson is just fine. Without McCollum, Josh Richardson is an excellent play.
I have a just a pretty relevant question, but I have to ask: who is? Let me see his name again. Who is Bryce McGowan's?
He is the other. The Hornets' other guard they drafted, I believe it was either this year or last year. I think he's you take a flyer like literally talk about low usage. This guy wrote the book on low usage.
Okay.
He's had some opportunities. Remember, he had some opportunities without LaMelo and without Terry Rozier earlier this year. He still has not scored more than 20 fantasy points in the game this season.
Gotcha.
I would cross him off on this kind of a slate. If he gets there, so be it.
Okay. Is there a limit to Toronto guys you'll play? Probably not, right?
Not really. It's too good of a matchup, and the prices are right. My favorites are LaMelo and Smith in Washington. I do love Hayward also. I have plenty of Mark Williams shares. I think if you wanted to get creative within that game script, you could try to play Nick Richards, and you could do a Nick Richards and Andre Drummond, all things go weirdly kind of build, and then you spend up on all your other positions. That's something I considered. But I do want to get exposed because you have Svi, who hasn't played in a million years.
Who?
Svi Mykhailiuk.
He's back.
They haven't played Book Night in a million years. Okay, by the way, first of all, that's another side note. At 20 years old, how do you get 5 DUIs and 1 with guns next to you in one off season? It's pretty amazing. In a really
they tend to correlate, I think. I think once he gets the second one, he's probably good for 5.
Good for 5 in one off season, that's hard to do and not get, even our country, the laws aren't as strict as some other places. Usually you get banished for that kind of stuff.
That's true.
TJ's question is Devontae Graham. The answer is Dennis Smith Jr., Devontae Graham, but I think you're playing both of them in a lot of lineups.
Where are you with Deshaun Tate?
Only using him where I'm forcing in three. I have a Jimmy Butler build with Jokic and Luka that I needed to value. So I'm only using him for those kind of value plays.
I have this is one thing I looked at earlier. I wanted to bring up to you. Call this what it is. This is a total random DVP type thing, or BVP, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
The last 2 times Tari Eason has played against Oklahoma City, he scored 30 and 49 fantasy points. And in no other game was he within like 10 points of that.
Yeah, I would also point out that in those games, I believe Jabari Smith and Jalen was out.
Right? I imagine there was a reason for it.
I like Tari Eason a lot. He's really good. He's fine. These are the guys who we have the obvious value plays. You're only including these guys if you're doing the all triple spend up thing,
Right.
That's my personal take.
Because I'll tell you something. I mean, I don't know if the kids still say keep it real or whatever it is. I'm not particularly thrilled with 60% owned Dennis Smith Jr. That's my I don't want to take, but just my instinct. I don't know what to tell you. So I'm getting 75% of them in first run. I mean, there's a lot of 3,600 guys. I mean,
yeah, none are going to have anywhere near the usage and upside of Dennis Smith Jr.
I got you.
He could literally 15x this price tag. It wouldn't surprise me even a little bit.
I don't think with LaMelo on the floor.
I mean, so look at his game log. He's playing 20 plus minutes a game with Rozier, with all these guys in, with their whole lineup, with Rozier and all the backup guys who are now out. And he played 27 in one of those games. He's still putting up stats.
Well, I would
fade him at 3,700.
Let me talk this out with you for a minute. So I would, if I were just being a pain in the ass, I would say that in those types of games, he was playing more with the second unit. No?
He will do the same today, though, too.
Oh, okay. I just figured he's part of the starting lineup. He would just be treated like some starter.
I think what he'll do is it'll do the normal thing with high usage guys. They'll play LaMelo the whole first quarter. He'll probably come out at the 6-minute mark, start the second quarter.
Okay.
That's my guess of what they do. But I'm not 100% sure on that because we haven't really seen this. But don't forget, guys like Plumlee, a lot of the guys they had are gone. So they don't really have anybody else to step up exactly.
Right.
That's when I'm always willing to give the guy the benefit of that. Just give me the minutes, and I don't really care about what else happens if it's Dennis Smith Jr. You know what I mean? If he plays 30 minutes and he doesn't get there, whatever. It's just meaningless to me.
Who else? So Rozier is out, Plumlee is out, and those are the two that are out, right?
Well, Rozier, Plumlee. Who else did they trade in their things? They traded a few other pieces. I mean, going back to when DSJ was playing before, and he was in consideration. Kelly Oubre is no longer there. A lot of their guys, they really only have two guys with any usage on their team at all, and they're both LaMelo and Dennis Smith Jr.
I mean, Hayward is back in the lineup.
Yep. Very low usage guy, so I like that. I get the argument for it. I just am having a harder time coming to it myself. Like, I think your hero play is Book Night. Oh, Maladon, who they got, he's not there. Kai Jones is out. Cody Martin's out. I mean, they don't have many bodies. And the guys they do have haven't played all season, basically. Between Thor, Mikhailuk, and Book Night, how many minutes are those guys really going to get? Especially in a game they're probably going to win. Or at least
do we have clarification at all on I guess not, but on the Lakers? Like LeBron?
No.
Okay.
They say he plans to play. That's the same thing as we heard.
Okay, fair enough.
It's very strange. I do want to just real quick mention what I heard today, because I listened to some really sharp podcasts with probably the guys who know the NBA are more connected than just about anybody. They were talking about how there's a lot of LeBron weirdness of what he's doing because his foot thing happens right after he breaks the scoring title. He's not playing games anymore. I mean, what did the Lakers think? They were going to trade Westbrook and just all of a sudden be really good without LeBron? No, they're terrible. They're much worse. Westbrook is the player that they had. They I don't know. So there is some rumors out there that he's going to play in the All-Star game. So there's a lot of thinking that maybe his playing tonight. I mean, first of all, it's a national televised game. It's an important game, obviously, for them. Every game is. But a lot of the thinking is that he's going to play tonight just so he's allowed to play All-Star. Like he's allowed to play All-Star weekend anyway, but just so he can kind of get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it is weird that he wouldn't be able to play all these games while your team needs to win, but then I'll play the All-Star weekend. And I'm not going to go back for that. Like it's the exact kind of thing we hate. You know what I mean? Like in LA, like we don't want LeBron to be doing this. We don't give a shit. You're done. You got your scoring title. Stop doing it. But from a basketball perspective, it does at least allow that. I think that makes Anthony Davis a little bit better to play from a DFS perspective. I guess that's where I'm at.
And I know if you talked about those Chicago. You probably talked about the Chicago value guys. You don't really. It's not a big deal.
Well, I think they're all in the mix. I think that more on DraftKings, Caruso stands out. He's going to be the popular one. I think Kobe White is the one you can maybe win a tournament with because he can put up a huge number. And I think the Sonmu is the popular one on FanDuel. But I would be higher on Caruso than the others, but I will probably have the same amount of each of them, which will make me lower than the field on Caruso, higher than the field on both Sonmu and Williams. I'm sorry, and White. Blake Griffin is not a thing tonight. Like Blake Griffin is a genuine DNP CD decision tonight, very possibly. He may not play a single minute. In fact, you know what Blake Griffin's projection is? I bet you Sheets has the same projection for him.
0.
He might be projected at like 1 or something on yours.
No, I actually have a minimum on mine.
Robert Williams out. Okay, now that does make it things a little bit different. It makes me just higher on Horford, who I already liked anyway. And it makes me higher on...
who's the second one?
It makes me higher on Horford.
Yeah.
Everybody else gets like a boost because of the minutes. Smart, Brogdon are all fine. Tatum is fine, but I'm just not building with the Celtics today very much. Grant Williams still a sneaky GPP play. He's the one I would pick if I had to do one.
You have any interest in Halliburton tonight?
Tons. He's my other guy. That's the if you're not doing the other that build with a typical LaMelo and all that. Halliburton is a perfect guy. Like instead of playing Shea, I like the idea of going down to Halliburton in price because I think Shea and Halliburton end up like, even if Shea goes off, he ends up in the same place as Ball so much of the time. Halliburton, if he gets to the same number, you're already saving the money, so you're differentiating your build that way, and he's low owned. That's why I'm a little bit less on the Shea thing because I need Shea to specifically outscore LaMelo. And if I play Shea, I'd rather play him with LaMelo. To answer Rhodey's question, I do like Mathurin a little bit. I am going to say projections be damned. I think all of Miami is being underrated. So I have Struss ahead of Mathurin, and I have Jimmy Butler as another guy who I'm considering as a priority. And no one's playing him. I just wanted to mention that because the price is very similar between Mathurin and Struss at the same position. Shea is potential for 60 DK points. What is that going to do when LaMelo scores 70? Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course he has potential for 60 DK points. The guy hasn't hit 70 in forever. Halliburton's hit 70 before him, and Halliburton was out for a month.
Right.
Yeah, Forrest, I get it. I'm with you, man, a little bit. People are reaching on the Shea thing. Shea might be the most over-talked about, overplayed person in, like, DFS cool guy circles. Everybody always talks about him as, like, this awesome thing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he was awesome tonight. He put up 60. There's like 5 other guys who put up 60, and they're all 9K.
Right.
You know? Luka scoring 80 is definitely a possibility. And that's what I would do, the Luka thing.
If you like Horford,
yep.
I got a really good lineup.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like it. I do like Horford.
Yeah.
Kind of weird what they did. It was such a bullshit move what they did, but it worked. I mean, they played great. You know, they almost won the game. But what kind of a bullshit move is that, Sheets? Like,
to do what?
It's just because they're going to play them in the playoffs. Tatum had an illness. Horford was announced he only played one side of the back-to-back, so we're going to play him against Detroit.
Right.
You know? It's just Marcus Smart is back with a no minutes restriction. Oh, because we don't want to show Milwaukee what we are, and this way Milwaukee can't feel good coming out of the game no matter what. And Milwaukee had won 10 in a row going into the game. They didn't want to go out and beat them, and that just pisses me off. I mean, they did want to beat them, the players that played and everything, the coach, but the players who didn't play, like it's just, I don't know. I'd like to see the better teams play each other if you're going to have 82 games during the season.
Right.
I like Rudy's idea. Luka, like what I was saying before, Luka and Jokic score 80 each, and then we're good. TJ, you keep asking questions, buddy, but you're asking questions I just talked about. Like, so every question is literally like after I talked about it. Like, so the Bulls guards, we keep talking about this. I have the same amount of interest in each of them personally. And it's partially due to ownership. I think Caruso's the obvious guy. You're playing him probably in cash, or at least you're considering him in cash with the other values, but the other ones are there. No, but you're on the stream. You're saying it like 5 minutes after I say it, so that's totally cool. I love the questions. I just think it's really hard to go through 700 questions when it's all the things I just talked about. I like Giddey. I actually agree that Giddey might be just as interesting as Shea. The only thing that bothers me for Giddey is that Jalen Williams is really good. And I think it's actually hurting Giddey's production a little bit because he actually plays like sort of like a point forward type of thing for them. And it just adds another guy like that. It's great for them in real life. I mean, I can't wait to this Thunder team next year is going to be really hard to contend with. I actually really like Jalen Williams, by the way, for what it's worth. But you see the usage of Williams going up, and it's not like crazy because you can't be with these guys in the court. And Giddey's is just down a little bit. You're not seeing the 30% usage rates in any games anymore. But I still have a little bit interested in because it's Houston you're playing against.
Right.
I'm going to get out of here in a few minutes because I have to finish all my lineups.
What do you think of you still like Embiid?
Yeah, I like the idea of I like Jokic much better. So I like the idea of playing either Jokic with Embiid or Luka with Embiid. I'm sorry, or Jokic with Embiid or Luka with Jokic.
You think Grant Williams is going to look like a good play? Probably not, right?
I think he's like a good wild card GPP play. I don't think he's going to project well, but I could easily see like his minute range is very like he could go a wide number, 20 or 40. Yeah, you'd think Gordon and Murray sit to what TJ's saying. I do like Keldon Johnson to answer that question a little bit as a mid-range play. I have more of him on FanDuel, which feels weird because he's more expensive over there, but that's just what I did. Any Memphis? I like a little bit of the big guys on FanDuel, and I think that the Ja is fine, but it feels like you're forcing it to try to play Ja over LaMelo with everybody out. Rozier first officially out.
So you think Miami is a little bit underprojected?
Yeah.
Strus, Caruso. Boy, they really want me to play either. They really want me to play this cheapo, either like a Tate or a Caruso.
I think it's fine. Both those guys are fine. I would rather play Caruso than Tate, but
You'd rather play Caruso than Tate. Would you play? Why would I do this? I was going to say, would you play Caruso with Dosunmu? Why would I even do that?
I mean, it's probably like doable, but like there's just no reason to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would pick one of them. It's a good chance that two of the Bulls get there tonight, but I would rather pick one of them. Like on FanDuel, I literally have 4 big lineups. I believe I have Dosunmu in 2, White in 1, Caruso in 1. My 3 big lineups on DraftKings. I don't have Dosunmu in one of my big ones, but I do have White in 1 and Caruso in 1.
I'm gonna reduce my Tate ownership. I was just getting too much of him. Not that I don't want to play him. I just don't want to play more than like 25% of him. I mean, like Hayward, want like all these Charlotte guys are just freaking. They want me to play all these idiots. You know what I mean? Not idiots. Caruso. Don't want to play that much of him either.
All right, I think I do have to go because I have to finish building. I haven't gotten to them. I'm in on the Ingram revenge, MJ, to answer that one. Sheets, I'm going to leave you on here. Do you want to? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'm hoping to see you later, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
No, that's fine. No, I'll definitely be there. So I'm still getting my highest owned guys is still Devontae Graham after all this. Smith, LeBron, LaMelo. So, but it's still the same game. It's just all kinds of stackness, and that's just the way it's. I think that's just the way it's going to be. But then I think I have a really good lineup in the big one with Horford. I don't know. I want to check the projections though on the Celtics for a second. But let me do a couple of announcements first of all. So first of all, golf projections are being updated. They'll be updated again before the end of the night. And then the other hockey were probably. I'll tell you what I'm doing in hockey in a minute, but if you want to just check the Celtics for a minute. It's going to be fun. I think the late sweat. I don't know if I'm going to have anybody in the late game, but still be fun to kind of anti-sweat. You know, if hope I have to stay up to deal with this Edmonton hockey game though. But I think I will. I'm going to end up probably anti-sweating that one in a pretty significant way. Let me see what these projections look like on the Celtics. I might have to just rebuild here. I'm not going to be doing any updated projections, unfortunately. Just don't have any time. So let's. Tatum will go up. Well, he will go up a little bit. Okay, so we got to do this again. Good. I don't know what him. Horford up to 29 fantasy points. Blake will give him 9. Luke Cornett will give him 8. I mean, I'm playing this Dennis Smith Jr. play, but I'm doing it under protest. And I'm not the slightest bit confident in this. I'm doing it though. Let me see if I'm getting any Horford out of this. Yeah, Horford looking like a good play now. 90% of these guys. It just feels wrong, but all right, Tate, we're not playing 50% of. So we're going to reduce that. I'll get your question in a minute. Sorry, guys. Caruso, don't need to play 50% of him either. 5. I actually don't need to play 38% of Horford either. He'll go down to 25. The majority of the high-owned guys are going to be Dennis Smith Jr., Devontae Graham, LaMelo, Zach Collins, P.J. Washington, Hayward, like all these normal guys. But let's just make sure I'm not playing like 4. Yeah, so some of these lineups I'm getting like 4 of the same, like 4 Charlottes, for example. I don't want to do that. One set of lineup that's 5 of one team. Can't imagine that being accurate. Okay, so now I'm all set. I'll give you my exposures. So Dennis Smith Jr. reduced to 82%. Devontae Graham 80. Collins 70, then LaMelo, then everybody else under 50. So that makes sense. Strus 32%. That's a big number for him at that price. I'll reduce him to 25. I think that should be good enough. But I will tell you, I really like that Chicago Indiana game. That's my sneaky attempt to fade the Charlotte stack. Not to fade it completely, but to stack that Indiana game. Okay. And I'll tell you my hockey exposures in a second, because I promised everybody I would. I'm sorry I'm not as interactive on these. I'm just so busy with these projections that it's just very difficult. I have to do my lineups, but I'll be more entertaining in the late night sweat. All right, so with hockey, we have highest owned stack in hockey is the Rangers, then Anaheim, then Tampa, and Toronto. I'm sort of fading Edmonton, for better or worse. That's kind of where I'm at. So if there are other questions, see you guys a little later tonight.